The discovery in the depths, the silent excavation, the mining ship. Aurora's Edge drifted slowly through the Kepler void, its massive drill arms working steadily against the surface of asteroid KV-47. Captain Zara Voss stood on the bridge watching the operation through reinforced windows. The asteroid was supposed to be rich in rare metals, but 3 days of drilling had yielded nothing but disappointment. "Captain, we're getting some strange readings down here," came the voice of Chief Engineer Marcus Chen through the comm system. His voice carried an edge of excitement that made Zara lean forward. "Define strange, Marcus," she replied, adjusting her worn captain's jacket. At 35, Zara had spent more years in space than on any planet, and her instincts told her that strange readings in the void usually meant trouble. "Well, our drill just hit something that definitely isn't rock. The density readings are off the charts and the composition scan is showing materials that shouldn't exist out here. Whatever this is, it's massive and it's artificial." Dr. Kethavar, the ship's Altherian scientist, looked up from his research station. His compound eyes reflected the bridge lights as his mandibles clicked nervously. The insectoid alien had been studying human mining techniques for months, but this discovery seemed to unsettle him. "Captain Voss," Kethavar said in his carefully modulated voice, "perhaps we should report this finding to the Galactic Mining Consortium before proceeding further." Zara shook her head. "Not until we know what we're dealing with. Marcus, can you get a clearer picture of what's down there?" The buried giant hours passed as the mining crew carefully excavated around the mysterious object. What they uncovered defied explanation. Buried deep within the asteroid was a ship, but not like any vessel in current galactic databases. It was enormous, easily 3 times the size of the largest known battleships, with smooth, angular lines that spoke of advanced engineering. "The hull appears to be made of some kind of composite metal," Marcus reported as he led a team across the ship's exposed surface. "It's completely intact despite being buried for who knows how long. And Captain, you need to see these markings." Zara suited up and joined the surface team. What she saw made her breath catch in her throat. Along the ship's hull, barely visible beneath centuries of cosmic dust, were symbols she recognized. They were human symbols, but written in a style that was ancient even by Earth standards. "Prometheus Dawn," she read aloud, tracing the faded letters with her gloved hand. "Earth Colonial Expedition Fleet." Dr. Kethavar, who had reluctantly joined the surface expedition, examined the markings with his scientific instruments. "These writings predate the current galactic calendar by at least 500 years. But that would mean this human ship was traveling through space before your species made contact with the galactic community." "That's impossible," Marcus said, but his voice lacked conviction. "The history books say humans only achieved interstellar travel 200 years ago." Zara stared at the massive ship. Something about it felt familiar, as if it was calling to her. Maybe the history books are wrong. Unexpected visitors. The discovery of the ancient human ship should have remained a secret. But in space, secrets have a way of spreading quickly. Within hours of the excavation, long-range sensors detected multiple ships approaching their position. The vessels bore the distinctive markings of the Vortanian military authority. Commander Thex's voice crackled over the communication system, his reptilian accent making each word sound like a threat. "Human mining vessel, you will cease all excavation activities immediately. This discovery falls under Galactic Salvage Protocol 7. You will surrender the artifact to Vortanian custody." Zara felt her jaw tighten. The Vortanians were known for their aggressive expansion policies and their belief that humans were newcomers who didn't deserve the same rights as established galactic civilizations. "Commander Thex, this is Captain Voss of the Aurora's Edge. We discovered this ship through legal mining operations in unclaimed space. We have salvage rights." "Negative, Captain. Ancient artifacts of unknown origin pose potential security risks to the galaxy. You will comply or face the consequences." Dr. Kethavar approached Zara quietly. "Captain, the Vortanians have superior firepower. Perhaps it would be wise to negotiate." Zara looked at her crew. They were miners and engineers, not soldiers. But something about giving up the ancient human ship felt wrong. Give me 5 minutes to consider your terms, Commander Thex. The ship awakens as the Vortanian ships took positions around the asteroid. Zara made a decision that would change everything. Instead of surrendering, she led a small team into the ancient ship itself. The hull had been breached by their excavation, creating an opening large enough for them to enter. Inside, the ship was a marvel of engineering. The corridors were wide and tall, built for humans but with a grandeur that spoke of incredible ambition. Emergency lighting flickered on as they walked, as if the ship was slowly waking up after centuries of sleep. The power systems are still functional, Marcus said in amazement, scanning the walls with his instruments. After all this time, something is still running. They found their way to what appeared to be the bridge. It was enormous, with command stations arranged in a circle around a central chair. As Zara approached the captain's chair, panels began to light up around the room. Suddenly, a holographic figure materialized in the center of the bridge. It was human, but wore a uniform unlike anything Zara had ever seen. The figure looked at each of them in turn before speaking. Biosignatures confirmed. Human command crew detected. I am Atlas, Artificial Tactical and Logistics Analysis System of the Colonial Expedition ship Prometheus Dawn. I have been waiting for 537 years, 4 months, and 16 days for human contact. Dr. Kethavar stepped backward, his compound eyes wide with fear. An artificial intelligence. Captain, we should leave immediately. But Zara stood her ground. Atlas, I'm Captain Zara Voss. What was your mission? The AI's expression grew serious. Captain Voss, the Prometheus Dawn was launched as part of humanity's deep space colonization effort. Our mission was to establish human settlements beyond the galactic rim and to serve as an early warning system. Early warning for what? For the return of the Devourers. The ancient warning before Atlas could explain further, the ship's systems detected the Vortanian vessels outside. The AI's demeanor changed instantly, becoming more military and focused. Captain Voss, hostile vessels have surrounded our position. However, the Prometheus Dawn remains fully operational. Defensive systems are online and weapons are charged. Commander Thex's voice echoed through the ship's communication system. Humans, you have 60 seconds to evacuate the artifact before we board by force. Zara looked at her small crew. Marcus was studying the ship's systems with fascination, while Dr. Kethavar seemed torn between scientific curiosity and genuine fear. The decision was hers to make. Atlas, what are the Devourers? An ancient enemy that consumed entire star systems before disappearing into dark space 500 years ago. The Prometheus Dawn was positioned here as a sentinel, waiting for signs of their return. Captain, I have detected energy signatures, consistent with Devourer technology approaching this sector. They will arrive within 72 hours. The implications hit Zara like a physical blow. If this AI was correct, then the ancient human ship wasn't just a historical artifact. It was humanity's first line of defense against a threat that could destroy the galaxy. Can you handle the Vortanian ships without destroying them? She asked. Affirmative. The Prometheus Dawn was designed to face far greater threats. Zara activated her communication system. Commander Thex, this is Captain Voss. I'm afraid I can't comply with your demands. This ship belongs to humanity, and we have a job to finish. The demonstration of power. What happened next would be talked about in military academies for generations. The ancient human ship, buried in an asteroid for over 5 centuries, came to life with a power that defied modern understanding. The Prometheus Dawn didn't emerge from the asteroid so much as it shed the rocky exterior, like an old coat. Weapon systems that had been hidden beneath the rock face activated with smooth precision. The ship's hull, now fully revealed, gleamed with an inner light that spoke of technology far beyond current galactic standards. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The Vortanian battlecruisers, which had seemed so threatening minutes before, suddenly looked small and outdated in comparison. Commander Thex's confident voice was replaced by uncertain static as his ship's sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. Commander, Atlas's voice broadcast across all frequencies. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your vessels. To a safe distance. The Prometheus Dawn has defensive protocols that will activate automatically if you approach further. This is impossible, Thex finally managed to say. Human technology cannot be this advanced. The humans you know are not the humans who built this ship, Atlas replied calmly. Withdraw now. The Vortanian ships retreated, but Zara knew they would be back with reinforcements. More importantly, she realized that everything the galaxy thought it knew about humanity was wrong. The Awakening Protocol, the Admirals returned deep within the Prometheus Dawn. In a section of the ship that Atlas had kept sealed for over 5 centuries, something was changing. Cryo chambers that had maintained their contents in perfect stasis began their revival sequences. Warning lights flashed as ancient life support systems came online with mechanical precision. Admiral Sarah Cross opened her eyes for the first time in 537 years. The cryo chamber's lid hissed open, and she sat up slowly, her body adjusting to consciousness with the practiced ease of someone who had undergone the process many times before. At 60, when she entered cryosleep, she had been the youngest admiral in Earth's colonial fleet. Now she was possibly the oldest human alive. Atlas, she said, her voice hoarse but commanding. Report. Admiral Cross, welcome back. Current situation. The ship has been discovered by a human mining crew. Hostile alien forces have attempted to claim the Prometheus Dawn. Long-range sensors have detected Devourer energy signatures approaching this sector. Cross stood and walked to the chamber's viewing port. Outside, she could see stars she didn't recognize, constellations that had shifted over the centuries of their watch, but her duty remained the same. How many of my crew survived cryosleep? 17 officers and crew members are being revived as we speak, Admiral. The rest did not survive the extended stasis period. A moment of silence passed, as Cross absorbed the loss of her people. She had known the risks when they accepted this mission, but it didn't make the reality any easier to bear. And the humans who found us, Captain Zara Voss and her crew. They appear to be miners, not military, but they have shown courage in the face of superior hostile forces. The captain has agreed to assist in our mission. Cross smiled for the first time in centuries. Then perhaps humanity hasn't changed as much as I feared. The truth about humanity's past. When Admiral Cross entered the bridge of the Prometheus Dawn, Captain Voss and her crew were waiting. The contrast between the two human officers was striking. Cross wore a uniform that spoke of military precision and authority, while Voss's practical mining gear showed the wear of hard work in dangerous conditions. Captain Voss, Cross said, extending her hand. I'm Admiral Sarah Cross, commanding officer of the Prometheus Dawn. Atlas tells me you've been taking care of my ship. Zara shook the offered hand, noting the firm grip and steady gaze. Admiral, we need to know what we're dealing with. The galaxy thinks humans are newcomers to space travel. They have no idea ships like this exist. Cross nodded grimly. That was by design, Captain. 500 years ago, humanity made contact with galactic civilization much earlier than your history books record. What we found was troubling. She gestured to the main display, which showed star charts dating back centuries. The galaxy was at peace then, much as it is now. Dozens of species had formed the Galactic Council, sharing technology and resources, but we discovered evidence of something they had forgotten or chosen to ignore. The Devourers, Marcus said, studying the ancient data. Exactly. Every few thousand years they emerge from dark space and consume entire sectors. Civilizations that took millennia to build are destroyed in months. The last time they came, 15 major species were completely wiped out. The survivors built monuments and swore to remember, but time has a way of turning history into myth. Dr. Kethvar, who had been listening quietly, clicked his mandibles nervously. Admiral, such creatures are not mentioned in any current galactic records. Because the current galactic powers don't want to believe they exist, Cross replied. It's easier to pretend the threat is gone than to prepare for its return. But humanity took a different approach. The Sentinel Network Admiral Cross led them to the ship's strategic command center, where holographic displays showed the positions of dozens of other vessels, scattered across the galaxy's edge. Each ship was marked with human designations and status reports. The Prometheus Dawn is one of 50 Sentinel ships, Cross explained. We positioned ourselves at key points along the galactic rim, equipped with the most advanced technology Earth could produce. Our mission was to watch, to wait, and to warn. 50 ships, Zara breathed. All this time, humanity has had 50 ships like this? Had, Cross corrected sadly. Long-range communication shows that only 12 Sentinel ships remain operational. Time and isolation have taken their toll. But 12 ships might be enough if we can coordinate properly. Atlas projected a tactical display showing the approaching Devourer signatures. Admiral, the enemy fleet will arrive in 47 hours. Their numbers appear to be larger than previous incursions. Cross studied the data with the practiced eye of a military strategist. They've had 500 years to grow stronger, but so have we, in our own way. She turned to Captain Voss. Captain, I need to ask something of you and your crew. The mining ship that brought you here, does it have long-range communication capabilities? Yes, but nothing that could reach Earth from here. It doesn't need to reach Earth. It needs to reach the other human settlements, the ones that have grown up since we left. Humanity has spread across dozens of systems in the last 5 centuries. They need to know what's coming. The unlikely alliance. As Admiral Cross prepared her ancient ship for battle, an unexpected development occurred. Dr. Kethavar, who had been quietly analyzing the Devourer data, approached Captain Voss with a troubled expression. Captain Voss, I have contacted my people on Altheria Prime. The data Admiral Cross has shown us matches certain legends that we had dismissed as primitive superstition. Zara looked at the insectoid scientist with surprise. Your people know about the Devourers? We called them the Dark Swarm. Ancient stories spoke of creatures that consumed light itself, that could drain the life from entire worlds. Our oldest archives contain descriptions that match the Admiral's data perfectly. This information reached Admiral Cross quickly, and she realized that humanity's long vigil might not have been as solitary as they had believed. She contacted the Vortanian ships, which had withdrawn but remained in the system. Commander Thex, this is Admiral Cross of the Earth Colonial Fleet. I believe we need to discuss the threat approaching this sector. The reptilian commander's response was skeptical but curious. Admiral, your ship's capabilities are impressive, but we will not be intimidated into abandoning our claims. Commander, in 46 hours, a force will arrive in this system that will make our current disagreement meaningless. They will destroy your ships, consume your worlds, and add your people's life energy to their own power, unless we work together. There was a long pause before Thex replied. You have 1 hour to present your evidence. The proof of ancient evil. The meeting that followed took place aboard the Prometheus Dawn, in a conference room that had been designed to accommodate multiple species. Admiral Cross presented evidence that had been gathered over centuries of observation. Energy signatures, tactical analyses, and most convincingly, recordings of previous Devourer attacks. Commander Thex watched the recordings with growing horror. The videos showed planets being stripped of all life, their surfaces left as barren rock while massive biomechanical ships absorbed the extracted energy. Entire civilizations vanished in a matter of days. This cannot be real, Thex said, but his voice lacked conviction. Dr. Kethvar added his people's ancient records to the evidence. Commander, my species has songs that describe exactly what we see in these recordings. We thought they were myths, but the details are too precise to be mere imagination. Admiral Cross leaned forward. Commander, humanity withdrew from galactic society 500 years ago not because we didn't want to participate, but because we knew this day would come. We've spent 5 centuries preparing for it. What do you propose? Thex asked. The Prometheus Dawn and the remaining Sentinel ships can hold the line, but we'll need support. Your battlecruisers, combined with Altherian scientific expertise and human technology, might be enough to turn the tide. The human solution. As the alliance formed and preparations began, Admiral Cross revealed the true scope of humanity's preparations. The Prometheus Dawn wasn't just a warship, It was a mobile research facility that had spent centuries developing weapons and tactics specifically designed to fight the Devourers. The enemy feeds on life energy, Cross explained to the mixed group of human, Vortanian, and Altherian officers. Traditional weapons only provide them with more power to absorb, but we've developed something different. She led them to the ship's primary weapon system, a massive device that hummed with barely contained energy. We call it the null field generator. Instead of adding energy to a target, it creates a zone of absolute entropy. Life energy cannot exist within the field. Marcus, ever the engineer, studied the weapon with professional interest. Admiral, the power requirements for something like this must be enormous, which is why the Prometheus Dawn has a power core that Earth's current technology couldn't duplicate. We built these ships to fight gods, Chief Engineer Chen. Nothing less would be sufficient. But Cross's greatest revelation came when she showed them the ship's manufacturing bays. The Sentinel ships were designed to be self-sufficient for centuries. We can produce ammunition, repair equipment, even build smaller vessels if necessary. And more importantly, we can share our technology. Over the next 36 hours, human engineers worked alongside Vortanian weapons specialists and Altherian scientists to retrofit the alien ships with null-field projectors. It was a remarkable sight. Species that had been at odds hours before now working together with desperate efficiency. The hour of truth. When the Devourers finally arrived, they came not as ships, but as a living darkness that blotted out the stars. Massive biomechanical entities that defied easy classification, moved through space with purpose and malevolent intelligence. They had consumed countless civilizations, and their confidence was absolute. But they had never faced humanity's long preparation. Admiral Cross stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Dawn, surrounded by officers from 3 different species. Captain Voss commanded the mining vessel, now armed with human technology. Commander Thex led a squadron of modified Vortanian battle cruisers. Dr. Kethvar coordinated scientific data from the Altherian research ship that had joined their small fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Cross. Today we fight not just for our own survival, but for every civilization in this galaxy. The enemy believes we are weak because we are divided. Let's show them what unity can accomplish. The battle that followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic history. The Devourers' initial assault was devastating, their bioships launching waves of energy-draining attacks that would have crippled any conventional fleet. But the null field generators created zones of protection, and the Allied ships fought from within bubbles of entropy that the enemy couldn't penetrate. Most importantly, the combined fleet didn't fight like separate species with different tactics. Admiral Cross had spent centuries studying Devourer patterns, and she orchestrated the battle like a symphony of destruction. Human ingenuity, Vortanian, aggression, and Altherian precision combined into something greater than the sum of its parts. When the last Devourer bioship was destroyed, its death scream echoing across space in frequencies that hurt to hear, the galaxy was safe once again. But more than that, the foundations of a new era had been laid. Admiral Cross looked around the bridge at her mixed crew of allies. Captain Voss, I believe it's time for humanity to rejoin galactic civilization. But this time, we won't be joining. As newcomers, Zara smiled, understanding the implications. This time we'll be joining as the species that saved everyone else. The ancient human warship Prometheus Dawn had awakened not to conquer, but to protect. And in doing so, it had revealed humanity's true role in the galaxy, not as rulers or subjects, but as guardians who would stand watch against the darkness between the stars.